Hello, welcome to the Nightlife. I'm Tanya. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time here, welcome. In this video, I want to talk to you about cash envelope stuffing. Amid the pressures of inflation, cash envelope stuffing has helped so many consumers, to include me. It has helped me to more effectively keep track of spending and cut excess costs. Every now and then, I like to circle back to the concept of cash envelope stuffing. A while ago, I did a previous video where I went into more detail about the cash envelope system. I talked about binders, binder sizes, and a few other areas that are important when cash envelope stuffing, such as sinking funds and savings challenges. I'll link that video above or below so you can go check it out. A small disclaimer: I am not a financial advisor. I'm a bi-weekly cash envelope stuffer, sharing what has worked for me and my family. I share how I manage my money intentionally by controlling and crushing debt so that I can ease financial stress and enjoy life while building wealth for the future. The budgeting and savings community here on YouTube is one of the most supportive communities you'll find. There are so many videos about cash envelope stuffing and budgeting that you can watch to study the subject. Remember, no matter how many videos you watch, you should always do what works for you and your budget. Consult a financial advisor if you need to. What is cash envelope stuffing? Cash envelope stuffing, or aka cash stuffing, is essentially a budgeting method that privileges cash over credit cards to pay for things. With credit and debit cards spending, it's easy to lose track of how much you've spent. Additionally, it's easy to accumulate debt and derail your budget. Cash, on the other hand, comes with built-in guardrails. Once you've spent it, it runs out. You can't spend anymore. Here's how cash envelope stuffing works. Take a piece of paper, create a spreadsheet, figure out your total monthly income from sources like your job, side hustles, investments, alimony or child support payments. Evaluate your current expenses and break them down into categories. Remember, the envelope system is usually focused on variable expenses like groceries, gas, and can change slightly every month. You can craft up your budget as you see fit, but there are two budgeting methods that you can start with: the 50-30-20 budget and the zero-based budget. I know what you're saying. I thought you were going to talk about cash envelope stuffing. I am, and I will, but stick with me because both of these budgeting techniques are important when you dive into the world of budgeting and saving and cash envelope stuffing. Let's first talk about the 50-30-20 budgeting technique. This budgeting technique divides your spending and saving into three categories: needs 50%, wants 30%, and savings 20%. You put 50% of your after-tax income towards needs like rent and groceries, 30% towards wants like travel and eating out, and at least 20% towards savings and debt repayment. Let's drill down on that further. 50% needs. These are categories like utilities, shelters, transportation, health insurance, daycare, and minimum payments on all your debts. You need to pay these things, so they fall into this section. 30% wants. Now listen to this very carefully. Wants aren't needs. Wants aren't needs. But when we start dividing things into budget categories based on wants versus needs, the lines can get real fuzzy. Wants still affect your lives, but not like a need. We can do without wants, even if it's uncomfortable. Let's stick a pin in that for a minute. Let's talk about that. The 50-30-20 rule says to spend 30% of your take-home pay on the stuff that improves your standard of living. This includes unlimited data plans, eating out, and new clothes, what some people call the fun stuff, aka wants. Me personally, I'm not a fan of this part of this budgeting technique because the 30% is a huge number that can be used on other parts of your budget. This implies that you can spend 30% of your income on wants even if you're in debt. Where's the sacrifice in that? You have to cut down on extras so you can focus on what you really need. To me, my budget is a living document. It changes and adapts to my stage of life. It adapts to my behavior, so I refuse to spend 30% of my budget on my wants. I digress. This is my opinion and what works for me. If you can do the 50-30-20 thing, then God bless you. You do you. Do what works for you. I'm just saying.
It has some things in it that just doesn't sit right with my spirit.
Let's move on though. The final part of this budget technique is the 20% savings. 20%. I feel like that should be the 30%. The 20% savings category in the 50-30-20 rule covers a lot. Retirements, investments, emergency funds, savings, and any extra debt payments above those minimum payments. That's just 20% of your income to get you feeling safe and secure with money for today, tomorrow, down the line in retirement. And you're working on all three at the same time. So let's look at an example. These are numbers just off the top of my head. I made these up. You can plug in your real numbers so you can get a true feel for things. Say you take home $2,500 a month after taxes. This is what your budget might look like. $1,250 in your needs envelope, $750 in your wants envelope, $500 in your envelope for savings and debt repayments. Now let's look at the zero-based budget. This is all over YouTube and the internet. I know you've heard of Dave Ramsey. This is Dave Ramsey. What is it? It's when your income minus all your expenses equals zero. Zero-based budgeting, simply put, is this. Every dollar is accounted for and working for you. Total your monthly income from all sources. List out expenses, starting with your needs. Think about what they truly are, like food, utilities, shelter, transportation. Then prioritize everything else in the budget based on where you are in life. Because a budget should be flexible like that. If your expenses are more than your income, you know you've got to cut back on your spending. If you've got money left over after you account for all of your expenses, you give that money a place. Put it towards an emergency savings fund or some savings challenges. Then you'll be at zero. Voila, you've given every dollar a purpose in your budget. You're in control of your money. Now that you've figured out which budgeting method you want to use, it's time to start cash envelope stuffing. Identify budget categories. Start by determining the different spending categories that make up your budget, such as groceries, dining out, entertainment, transportation, clothing, etc. Allocate amounts. Assign a predetermined amount of cash to each category based on your budget. Once you get paid or receive money, take the funds out of the bank or ATM. Divide up the cash and put the designated dollar amount in each envelope according to what you decided and wrote on each envelope before. Example, if you've allocated $200 for groceries for the month, put $200 in an envelope called groceries. Label and organize envelopes. Label and organize the corresponding budget category and keep them in a safe place, such as a wallet or designated drawer or safe. Use the cash from the appropriate envelope, very important, when you need to make a purchase. Take the cash from the appropriate envelope. For instance, if you're buying groceries, use the cash from the groceries envelope. This way, you're limiting yourself to the spending only what's available in that specific envelope. Here's another example. If you set aside $50 in an envelope marked coffee and you buy a $5 latte at Starbucks, you take the money from the envelope titled coffee. That leaves you with $45 left to spend on coffee for the month. Track your spending. Keep track of the cash you spend from each envelope. You can make a note on the envelope itself or maintain a separate tracking system. Replenish the envelopes as needed. When an envelope is empty, it means you've exhausted that money for the category. You can either choose to reallocate funds from another envelope or wait until the next budgeting period to replenish the cash. If any money is left in any envelope at the end of the pay period or month, it can be saved for the next month or used to beef up your emergency fund, used to save for a trip, used to pay down debt. Something to consider. Cash envelope stuffing is flexible for those that want to commit to the all-cash system. You can always establish a blended method of allocating some cash for specific goals while also putting a certain amount into a high-yield savings account. There are also plenty of budgeting apps and tools that can help the more digitally minded consumer manage their spending. Once you've done this and you've gotten the hang of it, try creating a sinking fund. Sinking funds are a whole different subject. I have a video on my channel explaining sinking funds. Go check them out. I'll link the videos in the description below or above. Today we discussed a lot. We talked about 2 budgeting techniques, the 50-30-20 and the zero-based budgeting. We also talked about cash envelope stuffing. Choose the right budgeting technique that works for you in your specific situation. Consult a financial advisor if you need to. Remember, 50-30-20 focuses on 3 areas: 50% wants, 30% needs, and 20% savings. If this works for you, do it. We also talked about the zero-based budget. It's focused on putting every dollar in its place till you get to zero. We talked about cash envelope stuffing. Cash envelope stuffing can be a helpful budgeting method because it provides a tangible visual representation of your spending limits. It encourages conscious spending and helps you become more aware of your financial habits. Check this out. And this is just my opinion. It's me specifically. As a cash-only user, I feel an emotional connection to my money. Because cash is visible, touchable, and instantly parts with me, it's easier for me to be aware of how much money I'm spending. I am likely to spend less than I would with a credit card. That's just me. Like I said, you can always do what works best for you and your financial situation. One final note, when you start the cash envelope stuff, it's important to ensure the safety of your cash and keep your envelope secure at all times. Consider purchasing a fireproof, waterproof safe deposit box or standalone safe. Also be mindful, especially when carrying your envelopes outside your home. Practice domain awareness. If you stuck with me to the end of this video, I thank you so much for watching. If you have found value in the content of this video, please do me a favor, like, comment, share, and subscribe. One more thing, until next video, be awesome, be great, amazing things will happen.